Hi guys, welcome to day three. Day three of the sleep challenge, which is all about building sleep drive and setting your body clock and dealing with conditioned arousal. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the first couple of days, do check out the first couple of days. Day one, we dealt with sleep and looking at where your sleep's at the moment. Yesterday was all about dealing with goal setting and setting yourself some really clear goals, looking at what's getting in your way and introducing you to sleep diaries. So I hope you managed to have a look at the sleep diaries. Did you do it last night? Drop a message in the comments because it'd be great to hear how you got on, if you struggled with anything in particular. As you can tell, my voice is getting worse, so I am now day three of my cold. So yeah, so bear with me while I croak my way through this live video, but hopefully you'll get a good sense of what's going on. For those that missed it, I'm Claire Elms. I'm an emotional wellbeing consultant and life coach and therapist, and I'm trained in what's called CBTI, which is CBT for insomnia. So a lot of these tips and tricks that I'm sharing with you this week is all based backed in science. It's all done based from a real clear scientific approach around how to improve our sleep. So yeah, put in the comments as well if you're watching it on the replay. It'd be great to see how you're getting on this week. Tomorrow is going to be a bit of a Q&A, so if you want to ask anything, do drop a message into me personally, or put a message on the group so that I know. I'm going to have a drink and we'll get started. Oh, I might give myself 5 minutes. Oh dear. Right, so today is really practical tips around how to increase our sleep drive and set our body clock. So from the last couple of days, I hope you've clocked that I've been talking about these two separate systems. Oh, bear with me. Oh dear. Right, so building sleep drive. Sleep drive, if you think about it as like a balloon, like when you wake up in the morning, you fill up your balloon through the day by being active and doing stuff, and that keeps the balloon really full so that you're ready for bed at night time, and then overnight the balloon empties and it gets you ready for the next day. What tends to happen with people who are poor sleepers is that people might nap during the day. There might be a bit of inactivity, especially with COVID at the moment. You know, if you're not going and doing like active things like you normally used to, and you're lolloping around on the sofa, which a lot of us are a lot more based at home, it can have a real massive impact on our ability to manage our sleep drive. So sleep drive is one of the main systems in terms of what keeps us asleep all night. So with people who struggle to go to sleep or wake up in the night, one of the key problems is around this sleep drive, because if you're not physically tired enough, basically. So if you nap during the day, it lets out some of the balloon, and if you then haven't filled it back up again, you're not going to have enough space left for sleep later on at night time. The same goes for you know, a lot of the other kind of approaches. So one of the main things that we talk about here is how to build your sleep drive. So how to make sure that you are sufficiently tired for bedtime. And we need to build this to ensure that we have a really good quality of sleep. Otherwise we end up in a bit of a funny stage of in and out of sleep. So you know, some practical tips, which we all know, don't we, about kind of like being more active, like going to the gym, doing exercises, going for a walk in the sunshine. Like active and light are really positive things to keep building our sleep drive through the day. So even, I think it feels quite counterintuitive, doesn't it? Because I suppose if we're feeling particularly tired, then one of the things that we have kind of learnt as society is that we must rest. So, you know, take a nap if you're tired, or rest up. But that has like the opposite impact than what we want, because what that does is it takes the sleep drive away so that we're not tired at bedtime. And if we're doing that regularly, then that causes a pattern of sleep that isn't productive. So when we think about how to build our sleep, it's about, you know, keeping active. Obviously at the moment, with a lot of things being closed, it's keeping as active as you can. There's so much online now in terms of exercise routines and stuff like that. So finding something that works for you to keep yourself active and busy, trying to get up and have a walk around. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm doing a lot of stuff on Zoom at the moment, and I noticed that after a couple of clients back to back on Zoom, I need time just to kind of step away. Right, we will get through this, guys. So yeah, so making sure that you've got enough activity in your day. So again, like we've talked about before, using like a planner to plan in activities during your day to make sure that you are on top of things in your daytime is really important. The other thing is kind of like no excessive time in bed. So what we know is that what can happen is people can spend sort of 10 hours in bed sometimes, but maybe only sleep for 5 or 6 of those. You know, if you're tossing and turning in bed, dearie me. Yeah, so the more you spend time in bed, not sleeping, that doesn't build up your sleep drive either. So, you know, excessive laying in the morning, excessive time before sleep, all of those things are not productive. So keeping that to a minimum as much as possible is beneficial. So in terms of sleep drive, I guess those are kind of your main things really, is like making sure you're not napping, making sure that you're doing something physical and active during your day. When we think about body clock, we think about the cycle of our bedtime. So I mean, we call it social jet lag. So if you think, if like some days you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, some days you go to bed at midnight, some days you go to bed at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, all these different changes are not good for our body clock, because our body likes to have like signals and recognize certain times of the day. So you know, I don't know, like for some people who, whenever the last time was, but when we go on holiday and there's a time difference, sometimes we can feel a bit of jet lag. It's a similar kind of thing. If you're going to bed and awake at different times of the day, it can really cause havoc with our bodies and our body clocks. That's especially true with shift workers. So when I used to work in a shift work setting, when I used to do night shifts, it was quite hard because you're adapting to nighttime. Like, you know, your lunchtime is like midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So it kind of creates a bit of a strange, your body gets quite confused. So for lots of shift workers, they need to do a little bit of like slower integration into different shift patterns. So, you know, obviously everyone has a slightly different shift pattern. So trying to work it out around whether you're a night owl or an early bird, and how it best works for you as well. So those are kind of key things in terms of thinking about our body clock. What we talk about is having the same time as much as possible, like setting the time before bed, setting the time that you wake up in the morning. We call it a time in bed prescription. So for those of you who are interested in getting support for your sleep, one of the things that I do with your sleep diaries is that we look through your sleep diaries, we work out your sleep efficiency, like how much quality of sleep you've got, and then we can work out like set times to go to bed and set times to wake up, and that's to get your body back into the flow of being asleep at a certain time. So that's a really effective way of doing it, and what it does is it helps to start to set the body clock and give it cues. So a lot of the things that we do around bedtime, if you think about like young children, you know, you do the kind of bath, story bed kind of process. You know, I don't know why, but as adults we feel like we don't need that wind down time, but actually we do. We still need that wind down time. So making sure that we've got time in the day to kind of wind down before bed is really important. So those are kind of quite easy practical steps that you can start to make changes to help you get back on track with your body clock. So making sure that you're going to bed at the same time, you're waking up at the same time, and that you are managing that kind of wind down time. So looking at what you can do to relax in the evenings. So bear with. So the last bit is around arousal. So the third system in our sleep cycles, if you like, is around arousal and what we call conditioned arousal. And that is kind of what I was touching on just now around what we do in our bed. So if we're spending a lot of time in our bed, like a lot of people, I don't think I've ever seen so many people's bedrooms, you know, where we're on Zoom calls in the bedroom and things like that. So if you are, you know, spending a lot of time in your room and on your bed in particular, that is pairing your bed with being awake. It's what a lot of teenagers do, isn't it? So if you think about like how their setup is, it's very different, and they do struggle with getting themselves on track. Oh dear. I might just need a minute. Oh, as the week goes on and the day goes on, it's getting worse. It's quite a challenge when you work talking for a living and you can't talk. It causes quite a lot of strain on my throat, but I'm working through it. So thinking about right. There we go. Oh, there's a moment. Bear with me. Thinking about the conditioned arousal then, if the more time that we're spending in bed, we're not pairing it with our sleep, then we're not ready for bed. I know a lot of people will watch TV in bed, a lot of people read books in bed. Some of those things are all part of like winding down, but for some people they can cause a lot of arousal as well. So it's about listening to your body and whether that's a helpful thing or not, and trying different things to work it out. So with the conditioned arousal, what we look at doing is being really focused around not spending too much time in your bed awake. So one of the things that I want you to take from this week is, if you're someone that lays in bed and struggles to sleep, and you're tossing and turning for hours on end and things like that, or you wake up in the night and you're tossing and turning and it takes you ages to go back to sleep, one of the really key things to do is, if you feel like you've been in bed for about 15 minutes, is get up. And again, it sounds quite counterintuitive, doesn't it? It's to get up when you're trying to sleep. But it takes the emphasis off trying to sleep, and it helps you to reset your body clock. So one thing that we know is that actually by getting ourselves up, finding a quiet space that we can go to. For me, I go in, sit in the living room, and I'll do a bit of reading, or I'll listen to music or something. So finding something that you can do to help you kind of unwind, and then going back to bed when you feel physically sleepy, because quite often we feel we go to bed when we're perhaps not fully tired, and then we struggle to get to sleep. So when you feel like your eyes are drifting, a bit like, you know, like when you see children and they're like this and they're rubbing their eyes, it's like those are the kind of signs that you go, actually, I'm ready for bed now. And you can go back into bed. And what you'll find is that you'll go back to sleep quite quickly, and you will start to reprogram your body into thinking that bed is for sleep again. So that is one of the main things in terms of making sure that we're staying on track of our sleep. It's a really important thing. It's one of the hardest things. I know I find it really hard to get out of bed, especially when I've got a house full of like kids and like my husband and stuff, and I don't want to wake everybody up. But it's so powerful in terms of getting, like, resetting your body and getting you back on track to actually be ready to fall asleep. So if nothing else, I hope you take that away from today. So I think that's kind of all I wanted to share today. I feel like I've rattled through it quite quickly. I hope you understand where I'm at and what you want to do in your PDFs. It's looking at the things that you want to improve on, so it's just a little crib sheet for you to look at what you need to improve on for yourself. So thinking about the different things that you struggle with and what you need to improve on. And those are things that you can then feed into the goal setting that we did yesterday. So I hope that that has helped you today. Any questions, please drop me a message. I'm here to answer any questions, and if you want to put any questions forward for tomorrow, do so. I'd love to hear some of your struggles, like what you're struggling with, and what techniques you might try following on from today. So please put them in the comments as well. And that's it. It's been great to talk to you guys. Take care. Bye.